Good morning. And today's pocket sixes. This is also a hand that I've reviewed in the past. So in this hand, we have under the gun, open raises to 2 big blinds, minimum bet. This is usually weak unless I have a note that he always does that. And I don't see anything about pre-flop raises to 2 bets or anything. So normally you'd see a bigger bet if he has like aces, kings. So smaller bets oftentimes, pocket pairs, some of these draws, suited aces, maybe these offsuit aces that he's looking to get in cheaply with and to see a flop. Pre-flop, his totals under early position would be raise first in 7%. So when we think about what kind of hands is he going to be doing this with, I'm going to include in jacks. Maybe not these kings. Maybe these aces, these mid. Maybe he'll raise small with the mid aces, but raise larger with that hand. Maybe not even play these small pocket pairs. Maybe something like that. That's 8.3, a little bit wider. I do have a lot of hands on him, and unfortunately I didn't take notes as to what he's min raising with. So unfortunately we're just going to have to go from there. Now it's to me, and I think what we need to do is, that's a standard call. I think we should probably not even worry about whether or not it's a call or not and just play our game. So, more something like this where we assume he didn't raise. This is our entire raise versus EP range. I think we can easily do this. This guy's playing 30% VPIP. And I think we should be raising like this. Instead, I know I just called here. So we're going to say this is my calling range. And I think against a regular bet, we could call with that range. What about everyone else? This guy is loose. I assume he's going to be coming along. And I assume this guy's going to be coming along. Out of 103 hands, he's called a 2-bet 62% of the time. He's played 48%. It's possible that he's also going to call. So, when we think about what our plan should be, I don't think we should be calling with ace queen, king queen, ace queen. I think those hands we should attack. I think we should be raising this to 9 or 10 big blinds. Try to force it to get heads up with a player that's kind of loose. And if one of these players come along, hey, they're going to come along with the weak range. They're just playing weak play. But I didn't do that. I just called. And of course, the button calls, he's playing 51% overall. So on the button, he's looking at 47%. He limps with previous limpers 31% of the time. So it's not 100% of his range, but it's going to be a lot. And he didn't raise. So if we look at his 3-bet range, 3-bet by position, 13%. So 9 out of 71. He is going to be 3-betting quite a lot, and I assume he would raise, with these type hands. Maybe ace 2. If he's raising that frequently, he's probably raising with those. Maybe even all of the suited aces. Maybe the ace jack. I think we'll leave that. That's his calling range. And then we get both of these blinds to call. I think for the blinds, we're just going to say they're playing something like this. Both of them. Our any ace suited broadways, offsuit broadways are 1 and 2 gappers, suited 1 and 2 gappers. That's 34.5%. It's probably going to be a little bit wider. We're going to copy that, and we will add that. Oops, There we go. All right, so we see a flop. Let's get my range here. This is my calling range. We're going multi-way. The board hits us, or actually, when you think about my calling range, it can hit me. Definitely don't have a huge number of aces, but the ace is going to hit quite. I mean, it's in basically all of their ranges. So it's in basically all of their ranges. So what we have is a donk by the first player here. And the donk flop is 10%. Question is, why would you do that? Why would you donk the flop? I don't think it's a set or two pair. It's not going to be all of these top pair hands like ace king, ace queen. There's really no reason for him to donk with those. Probably not even ace jack. I think maybe at ace 10 is where you start. You're just betting to see where you stand. Maybe he donks with pocket pair below the top card, so king, queen, jacks, 10, 9s, 8s. Question is, wouldn't they have raised pre-flop? And I think that's kind of the important thing. Is I would have assumed that they would have raised at least ace, kings plus, but his 3-bet percent is 1%. I'm going to say that's going to be like aces and kings only. So when we look at here, I think jacks to 8s could donk like that. Middle pair, the 7s, maybe. I think now you're getting into questionable territory, and I'm not sure. I don't think bottom pair does that at all. Middle pair, maybe. What about the draws? Straight draws, flush draws? No, I typically don't see people donking with that. Normally they're going to be donking. They're going to have at least a pair. All right, so then this guy folds. And pre-flop razor folds. So he could have these like hands. And now it's on me for this very donk-like one big bet. And I'm going to actually go back here and say he bet one bet. It could be any pair. I mean, one big blind into 10. That's just such a weak bet. I mean, maybe. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? So it's on me, and the question is, what should we do? Should we raise it? Should we call it? You have to think about what kind of raises we have. If we raise it, what hands would we represent? I think we would end up representing top pair. I think top pair plus is what we would represent. Maybe open-ended straight draw. You'd have 8-9. It's possible that an 8-9 could be in my range. I know it's not. It would have to be 8-9 suited. So a hand like that would. I mean, I could have expanded it to include 8-9. Could have. There's no flush draws out there, so I think raising here just kind of gets maybe pair. And with him betting, it's like he's betting weak. I almost feel like we should be calling, but at the same time, you do have villain 12 behind us. That's if he has a weak ace, he may have a decent ace, and be willing to call at least a bet. So if I don't have an ace, it increases the chance that he has an ace. So I'm thinking like your trip hands and so forth. What about pocket pair below the top card? Yeah, I think you could probably call with that. And I raised a 7, so I kind of think we're going to play aggressively with even these pocket pair below the top cards, just to kind of get an idea of where we're at, because if we just call, we're still going to have no idea where do we stand with everyone. So I think at this point we're probably doing this with all of our hands. minus our 2-card backdoor flush draws where we don't have anything. We don't really have any equity. I think we just kind of give up a little bit. So we're at 70% where we would raise. And I think, yeah, these 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks, we're making a play because, if he folds and he calls and then he checks to us, we can probably bet again on the turn and be quite successful in picking it up most of the time. Is my impression. That's my plan against a player like this. So we're gonna say that's my range. Villain 12 folds, and versus my raise that I just made, I think he's gonna probably call his entire range. I don't think he's gonna play. I don't think he's willing. These players aren't willing to get rid of their hands. So we've got this range here is villain. So that's 33.5%, 126 combos. We're going to be doing this with quite a few hands just to kind of attack that villain. And maybe it's not correct for us to attack, but I think we can attack them. 2 of clubs doesn't really change anything. I'm going to assume that villain's going to check to us, and then I think we go ahead and bet. We're going to continue representing that we have, a better ace, jack, ace, queen. Now, if we bet and he calls, I think we're going to have to give up any of our weak aces. I think we're going to have to give up our mid pairs because that card does not improve us in any way. So what happens? Villain does check. And I think he was going to check 100%. And now I think we should be betting for value. I think our gut shots are going to represent a good way to bluff. I think we're going to be top pair with set. We're going to have much more value here. Pocket pair less than the top card. I still think we're going to bet. I think we're still going to be betting 100% here, just as bluffs, even that 9-10. I think we're still going to be betting here. That card does not improve anyone's equity. It probably doesn't hit their hand. He called. Even if we are bluffing, I think we can fire a second barrel because we're trying to represent that we have a decent hand. Is that right, or is that just wishful thinking? What do? I checked. So I'm sure at the time when I played this, I think my check was okay, but I don't like it. I don't really have any hands in my checking range, so it's like I've got 0 hands. I can't continue. We'll go ahead and assume that I checked it with everything. We'll say so I have 0 hands with the turn check. We're going to assume that I just checked 100% just so we can complete the exercise. Now, what kind of hands would do this? Where we raise and then we check. Maybe the set. I think sets we could definitely do that with because it's looking like then that we missed. Well, not really. We do it with the set because it protects some of the hands like these pocket pair below the top cards, or maybe even some of these weaker aces where it's like, okay, we took a stab with it with, even with 8-9, let's say we raised, we missed the draw, and then he checks, and now we're going to check to see if we can complete our draw, and it might draw a bet from him. So 8 of clubs comes out. So let's finish these. We're going to assume that it's 100%, but I don't think it is. So turn card was 2 of clubs. And that gave us 48.4 versus 51.6. Okay. Yeah, his is 100%. He has 123 combos. Mine's going to be 100%. It's going to be 49 combos. So I think I lost some values. And then the 8 of clubs hits. gives me 58.5. His is 41.5. And that would be why I would check, is that I'm representing that I've got, that I had a straight, probably 8-9, that I was on a draw, and now I open myself up for him to bet. What hands would he bet? I think he would probably continue betting the top pair. Maybe he's going to bluff, but he seems to be a little bit more on the passive side. Maybe he'll do two pair as well. So if he had like 7-8, he just connected. So I'm going to say maybe top pair plus, maybe not all top pair. So maybe two pair plus. So I think with that, I think our set's going to be in pretty good situation where I think sets and straights we raise, two pair I think, and top pair we just call. And I didn't. I called here, so I'm gonna guess two pair top pair, because we've got some showdown hands and how we played it. You know, if we raise, what all his bluffs are gonna fold, and really if we raise with top pair or two pair, I think he's only going to be calling with top end of his range. So I had trips. I just kind of messed up this hand, messed it up on the turn. I think messed it up here. I should have raised this. Definitely should have raised this. And he shows the 8-9. He actually had an open and a straight draw. So I didn't have that in his range. Seven. Yep. I didn't have that open. I didn't think he would be able to bet that. So we can make a note, right, that he would, with the flop donk, mark that, and just, you know, just bad hand overall. All right, don't like my turn. I think my raise was okay on the flop. I think I should have fired again on the turn. In this case, he's definitely going to call, and then he will probably call no matter what. I guess I didn't notice, we didn't see, you know, his range here. So he calls, or not his range, his stack. He's got 21.9. Yeah, I think that makes it even more likely that on our turn, probably not shove with, you know, 8s 9s, because he's like to call, but just definitely top pair, and probably even the gut shot. Because I think he could probably call. Actually, no, I don't think so. He's gonna call with the gut shot, so I think I would change it. He's gonna be likely to call with his draws, and any of the hands, any of his one pair hands that he would have donked with. So I think we're gonna be raising here with top pair plus, and just pushing him in. That should have been our play. All right, hopefully you like this. Look tomorrow for another hand.